Hello, guys. This is Malorian, and this is the 4th episode of Jank. And with me is my co-host.
I'm back, Tinman XL, wearing his Tinman shirt.
We were a mess last week. Last week you weren't here. I didn't know how to keep things going. Barely made it past like half an hour. But there's a reason why
you did pretty well. I mean, there was that one episode of Dice Rage Live where everyone was like a half an hour late.
Yeah.
And then it was then Cameron showed up and was playing Pokemon or something on his DS. I don't know if y'all remember that episode, but I was struggling. I was like, man, I don't know how Octave does it. I don't know how the Evan Star does it. I don't know how you do it, because I'm just like, well, I'm just sitting here painting. I don't know what to say. And two people are watching this, and they're probably hanging their head in embarrassment right now.
Well, we do our best, you know. Hopefully we're past all the mistakes now, and we'll get better from here. But what have you been up to this week there? Or I guess 2 weeks. I haven't seen you for 2 weeks.
Well, see, trying to rebuild my meta still. Starting to get more random faces showing up, so we're good there. Guys showing up just to say hey, and not, people just showing up just to say hey. Does a lot when you're building a meta, because then they go from saying hey to showing up with their stuff. So that's good there. So just trying to get that meta rebuilt. And right now I notice there's a trend with War Machine where people see War Machine as this game that only be played seriously and not a game to be played with fun. So trying to get this meta established for the guys that also like to have fun, that like to, unwind after a day at a job that maybe they don't like too much, So that's what we're going for here.
Have you seen my list with the 6 Buccaneers? You can have fun. You can find happy medium.
Well, there's some people that there's a growing trend out there where it's like everything's super, they're just super serious, super competitive.
Yeah.
And if you're not, net decking your list, then there's something wrong with you. We kind of stand against that here at Jank Tank with our off the wall stuff.
Oh yeah,
I got a good one with one simple concept behind it that I'm gonna talk about later.
Awesome, looking forward to it. Any drink for tonight?
Well, oh boy, I just happen to have some of the finest unsweetened iced tea.
Only the best.
Well, honestly, for the good stuff, I got the good stuff in here. This is a Golden Monkey. And let me check.
Golden Monkey? I haven't heard of that thing.
It's a loose leaf tea. I don't know if you can see inside there.
Okay, yeah.
All right, hopefully I don't damage my webcam doing this, but Maglite. Okay, okay, you can kind of see off.
You kind of see in there, yeah.
I need a softer light, but I don't have one at present because my cell phone light's kind of bright too. But yeah, this is good. Well, hold up.
For myself, we didn't have any of the regular drinks up there, so I made this abomination where it's orange juice and what was it? Butterscotch schnapps. So it's drinkable, but it's one of those things you do when there's nothing else.
I've also got some cider.
Oh yeah,
just one bottle this time though.
So for myself for the last week, really just trying to organize things for a big event I have coming up in October. This will be my first time running a 2-day event, trying to make it all work where, I'm aiming for 50 people and it's going to be in a venue with booze and all this stuff. So I have to organize all this stuff. And it's, I'm starting to, I used to be pretty good at the 1-day stuff. And I thought going to a 2-day, that'd be easy. There's a lot of extra work to do that second day to get everything to line up right and all the times. And The
only thing I've done for 2-day cons is demos, or it's like, demo one day, come back, demo the next.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the last Bake Anime, I demoed one day. The next day, I got sick. I didn't make it down there because there are people. It was our hometown con, but now it's starting to attract people from all over the country. In fact, I was talking to the con organizer last Friday. He told me a woman drove all the way out here from Georgia just to see one of the voice actors that was at our con.
Nice. How long of a drive would that be about?
Okay, so there's Georgia, which is on one end of the I-40, or one end of the United States, and then there's Bakersfield on the other end of the United States. So a truck driving team that's 2 guys taking turns driving across the country 4 days.
4 days of driving. Holy crow. Dedication.
She drove that by herself.
Oh, oh, man.
So that hopefully she was stopping places and getting some sleep. Because the longer you drive, then your reaction time goes down. I remember the first time I drove a really, really long time was my first day out when I was a commercial truck driver 5 years ago. And we drove from I drove from somewhere in Utah to Wyoming, but I was driving for so long that by the time we got there, and we made that, there was this highway I turned onto. I thought was still a highway, so I was still a freeway. No, there was traffic lights. I didn't react to it in time. I ended up having to slam on my brakes, and I was like, man, I could have killed somebody, But it's just like I had no reaction time, and my driver trainer, he was a guy that he just went in the back and slept. He didn't show you how to do stuff.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that was my first driver trainer. I had to get out of his truck. Definitely.
So breaking away from War Machine, there is a reason why you weren't here last week. So I guess the movie's still pretty new, so we probably don't want to get too much into the spoilers. But what the hell did you think about Avengers 2?
I loved it. It was fun to watch. Only one thing I'm starting to notice, and it's not really Avengers 2. It seems to be with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's a trope called villain decay, where first the villain starts off really threatening, but then, they seem to just be dispatching these villains right and left. You don't see villains surviving to show up in a sequel, other than Thanos, but he hasn't really truly been in a movie yet. But I'm noticing them just killing off villains right and left, villains who are ever present in the comic books. And it's like, well, wait, they kill off Ronan the Accuser, but there's all these other stories where they use Ronan the Accuser that they could also use on in a Guardians of the Galaxy sequel that they won't be able to do because they killed him off. All these villains that they take out, and it's like, well, we're not going to see them in future episodes, or future, basically episodes, because they're serializing the universe. So we're not going to see them in future installments. So it's kind of like there are all these other good stories with these villains, and we're not going to see that played out on the big screen. But on that,
done.
I loved it.
Yeah, there's a lot of character development that I really liked. Some people complain and say like, oh, it's just building up for other movies, but I thought it was fantastic. I did get the same thing where, the villains weren't really that threatening. And I guess, spoiler, kind of, somebody dies. And I think that if you would have just made the main bad guy kill that person early on and be like, oh, damn, this guy can actually kill people, it's a lot more serious. But the way it was is like, but it still is a great movie. Given the choice, I would see Avengers 1 instead, but it still was a good movie, right? Like, I'd go see it again.
Right. And, one thing is, like, I didn't feel like Ultron was an evil robot. But then that was by design. James Spader said that when he played him, he says, I'm not going to play him as a robot. I'm going to play him as a psycho. And that worked. And that definitely worked. And they kind of made him an evil Tony Stark in the same way in the comic books he was an evil Hank Pym, even though Hank Pym wasn't that good of a person to begin with, but that's a whole nother story.
One thing that I was waiting for is I heard that they're actually going to got the rights to get Spider-Man into one of these movies. And so I was wondering if it was going to be this one. And he wasn't, which makes me now wonder if it's going to wait till they
were in post-production when that got wrapped up, when I got settled.
You could sneak it in somewhere.
Yeah.
But maybe he's going to be in Civil War now. So could be.
Yeah, they're like narrowing down on actors to play him right now. So we'll see how that develops. I know a whole bunch of stuff got cut. There was like a scene with Loki that got cut. They wanted to have Carol Danvers in the movie at some point, but they didn't do that.
I look forward to that director's cut type thing, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that Blu-ray is going to have a ton of extras, so.
I'm sure. All right, so getting back to the War Machine stuff, and the whole Jank stuff, I hear you have a list that you've made up. So what we got?
Indeed. Okay. So, one simple, hilarious concept behind this list here. So we got, of course, Lord General Coleman Stryker.
All right.
Old Rowdy. Stormwall. Lightning Pods. Well, yeah, that's included. Rupert Corvallo, the Piper of Ord. Full unit of Storm Lances. Full unit of Sword Knights with the unit attachment. 2 full units of Field Mechanics.
Field Mechanics?
Here's the That's right, Field Mechanics, because I'm going somewhere with this. All right, so here it is. Striker's Feat, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does it do? Well, when friendly faction models make a mount attack or a charge attack while in Striker's control area, the attack automatically hits and gains an additional die on the damage roll. Lightning Charge lasts for 1 round. Now, that way, Old Rowdy gets it if he countercharges somebody.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing. Goblins charging you, automatically hitting, and getting an additional die on the charge.
They'll do some damage.
Little Weapon Master Goblins for a turn. So their power for strength 6, but 6 plus 46 could do some serious damage.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Goblin Ponage. That's the list.
Well, one of the things that's nice is that you don't see it coming. My brother, he first started with Kador, and he loved Butcher 1. And he has kind of the same type of feat, no auto hitting, but extra dice of damage. And he'd have mechanics because he'd run jacks at the time. And so you wouldn't care about the mechanics. Like, oh, yeah, who really cares about them? Let's kill the jacks. And all of a sudden he pops feet, and these mechanics charge you. And when they have an extra dice of damage, it was a big deal, right? All of a sudden these crappy mechanics are killing my elite troops. Well, if we're now looking at Striker 3 and automatically hitting, like this, you know, it's one of these little gotchas, right? Where it's like, oh, yeah, there's just these mechanics standing around. Badoosh, they charge you.
That's the list.
Any other little secrets that are in the list or anything like that?
Nope, it's a one-trick pony.
One-trick pony. You send those mechanics, that's it. We've shown our full hand.
Speed turn, here come the goblins. I mean, yeah, I got some heavy-hitting stuff in there. I got Storm Lances and Sword Knights, and I've got a Storm Wall in there. I've got Old Rowdy in there. I just kind of threw the Storm Wall in there, but thinking on it for the Sword Knights, I probably should, instead of the Storm Wall, have like guys with, have like a couple of Fireflies in there. Have a couple throw in a couple like there's guys with reach. So put a couple in like a Storm Wall, maybe a couple of Fireflies in there, just so that the Sword Knights get their flanking bonus.
Well, I mean, the other thing you do, too, is, I mean, normally Stormwall will be up there with his covering fire, doing his normal thing, and then basically you're waiting for people to come and engage you, and then once they do that, okay, pop feet, they're already being engaged by the Stormwall, and then in come the Sword Knights to get their, super flanking everything charge. The mechanics are coming out of nowhere. So I think the Stormwall is still a good one to have in there. I mean, it's a Stormwall. He's good.
Yeah. It's like I said, Goblin Ponage, man.
It's just an embarrassment of when you get goblins charging you and killing your elite guys. You're like, damn it. This is wrong. This should be happening. All right. Good list. Good list. Thing that's been happening today and this last week that we can talk about is a lot of spoilers and release models. I don't know, like we said, the big part of the show is more for the fun, not for math hammering it all out. But what do you think about all the models and stuff they've been showing off? All of a sudden we see the rules or partial rules for Haley 3 and Denny 3. We get to see the models for them. Today we got to see the actual models for the new Scorn Bugs that was just released out. Got to see the model also for the new frog unit for minions. What do you think about all this stuff that's coming out? Even for Signar, now it's actually on the site for the new Stormclad and the Reliant. So lots of stuff coming. Have you been able to
Yeah, the Reliant looks good. Definitely. So, yeah, that's all I got to say, but it looks good. It's got a similar looking gun to Dynamo there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that those new Scorn War Beasts, the models look really good for those.
I was kind of hoping they're going to be a little bit more beefy. They almost seem like they're a little bit small and spindly, but they're insects, so I guess it makes sense. But
yeah, they look pretty cool. I think there isn't really anything else in the game that really looks like that. So honestly, I think those with the Scorn Beast should have looked like from the beginning.
That's
how much I like them. I mean, the elephants are cool, but it's like, I think in terms of bigger beasts, I think they're with the Cyclops, and then with those looking things, I think the insect looking things would have been a better fit. They give off more of a Dark Sun vibe, I think.
It'll just be nice too, just to see something different, right? Because we've seen those elephants around for so long.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be good to have like, oh, now there's bugs too, and there's just something different. So, yeah. Another thing is, of course, you got to see actually now how the Haley 3 thing kind of works, so that she can cast 2 focus and bring back one of those other versions. They can't do anything that turn. But it'll just be really interesting to see. Like, there's not all the rules yet. Like, how do they get attacked? How they can get removed? Can you purify them off? But just, it's a whole different mechanic. It'll be really fun to play with, I think. Are you looking forward to that too?
Oh yeah. Now they're not spells, so purify won't get rid of them.
Oh, I thought they were.
And also because they're not spells. Also, lamentation won't affect their upkeep.
Okay, that's good. Because if you can just purify that off, that's like, that's not really fair.
Yes, that would be like, what? But we'll see. I think they have hit boxes, but once they're killed, you could turn around and bring them back. They just can't activate the turn to bring them back.
So, I mean, that could be something there, too, where you could actually put out one of those guys like, oh, no, like, I don't know, future Haley is out in the open. And then they dedicate a lock to killing her. It's like, okay, 2 focus, she's back to life, right? Like,
well, she has revive, so as long as they're not removed from play, she can bring them back. Now, if you hit them with something that does grievous wounds, or just removes from play, so if they get swallowed by, a Hyperion, my head's not in the game right now. The elf solo assassin chicks with the 4-inch reach on the charge.
Yeah.
Mage Hunter assassin chicks.
That's them.
Whatever. Them. Yeah, they could take her out. If they take her out, they take out future or past Haley, but she's not bringing them back. If press gangers manage to Shanghai one of them, they're not coming back.
Mean. They wouldn't do that. That's just too mean.
So,
I mean, revive and Signar. Who knows what? I mean, maybe with Storm Lances, you could do something crazy with that, bring them back, and keep on getting charges. I don't know. It's just it should bring a lot of different play style to Signar, right? It's not like, oh, it's another support caster. Oh, it's another. Like, this is really different. So, just looking forward to doing it.
Yeah, different's good. Different is definitely good there. And let's see. Yeah, definitely. Man, I can't talk right now. I shouldn't have been drinking this. All right. I better had a couple sips. What am I talking about?
So the message here from David Williams saying this video is processing, so I'm posting this now. Not really sure what that comment's about, but should we get into our questions that we had posted up to us?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. And one thing, too, from that battle report, she has a spell that gives Reform. Put Reform on the trenchers. Mark 1 style trenchers are back. Back in the Mark 1 day, everybody used trenchers because they threw out that smoke and they were protected by their own smoke. Then they changed the rules of smoke where you had to be standing in the smoke after you popped it. Now they could pop smoke and walk 3 inches back and be protected by the smoke they just popped.
That actually works perfectly with this because one of the first ones here is from Lord 17C saying, so Haley 3 and Denny 3 thoughts. We already talked about the Haley 3 thing, but Denny 3 Having those souls that you can go and cast spells from or allocate focus to jacks, I mean, just the idea where on feat turn, just from those souls, you get 7 free spells, or you can almost do like a Nemo 2 thing and have like a bunch of jacks and be like, haha, focus for everyone.
Everybody look under your chairs.
So could be, we'll see about that. But the thing that leads into after that is Luck God 84 says, yep, this kind of needs covering. My trenchers are ready. So I'm guessing that's just what you're talking about there. I actually missed the whole reform thing. And, I've never really played trenchers. I own them, but I've never played them. But it always seemed like they should still work because they go up, make their clouds. Your defense is high enough in there anyway, especially if you already dug in. But, man, if you can do that and move, that'll be great.
Because that keeps your trenchers alive. When they pop smoke and they're in their own smoke, they're sitting there at defense 15 because they get concealment from their smoke. And generally, you're not popping smoke and digging in at the same time. Or generally, my trenchers like to keep them on the move. So that's why I've always played them. When I first played them, I was digging them in. But later, it was like, no, it's all about the smoke. In fact, I was like the first in my old meta, the original meta I played War Machine in, that actually cut out smoke templates. I actually grabbed the Young Wolf tokens, printed them out, cut them out, and was using them to pop smoke properly. Because some people, when we first played, they're going, okay, the smoke's right here. But I was the first to actually get those 3-inch template, the 3-inch circles and put them down.
Show where they are yet. Well, I mean, especially seeing how Bradigus plays, right, with all the big line of force and how well that works to stop all the shooting. Well, I mean, now this is perfect. We can just do that right back. So, those trenchers might be seeing play. Do you figure you'd be running like a min unit, a max unit? Would you still have the UA in there, or?
Well, all the trenchers pop smoke. So what you want, of course, you want your 3 grenade porters. You want your unit attachment. You want your main unit attachment. You want all 10 trenchers. Or you want all 15 guys. And you want, of course, your command guys in the middle. And then the whole unit just spread out best you can to throw up a huge smoke screen to cover your dancing
clouds going across the whole board.
Back in the Mark 1 days, I figured out I had 2 minimum units of trenchers for bigger lists, right? For the set. And the Mark 1 points were distributed different. So it'd be like a 750-point game. That's the equivalent of a 50-point game today. Yeah. I'd have 2 minimum units of trenchers, and I would have them spread out across the table. And literally, if I set it up right, I can have like an entire 2-foot zone of you can't see past this. Like 2.5 foot zone if you set it up right.
And then you could always be running Rangers then too. If you got all these clouds, Rangers love it because there's prowling all the way through that. So
Rangers were very different back then.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so Rangers didn't have prowl. And what they did have was an old ability that it doesn't exist anymore. It's called Trailblazer, where if you're within 3 inches of one, if you're within 3 inches of a Ranger, you got Pathfinder.
Oh, okay.
Which was kind of handy. Rangers were very different. What they did was they actually ambushed. They actually came in. They didn't ambush, but they had a thing where they could get a unit to come in from the side of the board later in the game.
That'd be great.
Basically gave ambush to a unit. So it had to be. The unit had to come in within 3 inches of a friendly Ranger. So it was kind of weird to set up, and people saw it coming, so they usually picked the Rangers off.
So like ambushing storm lances coming from the side?
Basically, but the turn you came in, you couldn't. All you could do was move. You couldn't make actions. But what we did with the storm lances is that they had this ride-by order where there was like it was a special order that they had where as they advanced, anything that passed in between them, if you could draw a line between two of them, you took a power 10. You took a power 10 hit from electricity. Okay. So if you set that up right, you deploy them in, you get that order, and then they could just advance up and just electrocute stuff.
So you figure then trenchers are coming back? This is their time?
With that version of Haley, yeah. Because she's going to have that spell to give them reform.
All right. I'm going to have to paint up those trenchers. Maybe it'll be part of another jank list coming up here later.
All I got to do is give me 2 more grenade porters because I got the grenade porter back when he was metal. So
Okay.
I'm gonna have to find a way to give me 2 more grenade porters so I can paint them up and throw them in the unit.
All right. Well, next question here comes from Kaylin R saying, talking about Jank, what are your thoughts on the king of Jank, Jason Flanzer? This guy brings janky lists to national tournaments and wins. This year at Kingdom Con, he brought Conquest Harkovich and Commandos. The pieces Kador players swear are no good. I think that's awesome. You know?
Yeah, I've actually met him a couple of times. I actually hung out with him at Kingdom Con last year. I didn't go to Kingdom Con this year because I just couldn't afford to go. I was having some money problems.
Yeah.
Plus, there's stuff going on with my car, and I kind of need my car to go back and forth to work. So, you know, that kind of takes precedent. But I just kind of did the math on it. When I went to Kingdom Con last year, I got a rental car to drive down there, hotel room, and then, of course, I had to feed myself while down there.
Yeah.
And the hotel that you stay at, there's no microwave or anything like that in the room. No refrigerator, no microwave, so there's no, like, me going to the grocery store and getting stuff. I mean, I had an ice chest with stuff in it, but for everything else, it was just difficult to, everything else I had to, I had to go and feed myself, and then coming back, and so it turned out to be an expensive trip that took 3 months of work to work off, but
worth it. I think it's fantastic. I mean, like, I think there is an advantage to taking these crazy lists to these big events where you're nobody knows what you're doing, right? They might not play you as serious. They might figure like, oh yeah, this will be easy to beat, or they just don't know like what the hell is he going to do, right? What's this Harkovich guy? Possibly, but it really takes somebody and shows a lot of skill on his side, just and boldness, right? Having the skills to be able to take a list like that, make it up, beat these other players, and just awesome as well. They're like, you know what? I'm not going to follow these net lists. I'm going to make these jank lists, make them work, and do it at this high level. So, yeah, I mean, I always like hoping to be that I can be like the king of jank, but I'm not winning any big events with my stuff. I'm more like the jester of jank. So
the jester. I guess I'd be the jank peasant out in the village. I don't know. But I actually met him a couple of times. I met him at SoCal SmackDown years ago, and I met him again at Kingdom Con. He's actually moved to the LA area, so conceivably I could see him more often because it'd be a matter of me just drive down to a tournament up there. I think he's mentioned something about possibly coming up to something in Bakersfield. I just gotta rebuild my meta first, of course. Anyhow, that's like there was years ago. The theme force for Jeremiah Cray, everyone said it was crap, and then someone won, and they said that Jeremiah Cray wasn't a good caster, but someone won a big tournament at Gen Con. I think it was a Masters tournament at Gen Con with a Tier 3 Jeremiah Cray list. And then on the forums, they started throwing the term Craytastic around.
Oh, yeah?
So I just like seeing players, big caliber players do that. Take the stuff that everyone says sucks and then just winning. And then watching all the prosers on the forums suddenly change their tune and just talk the talk of, oh, yeah, I always knew that stuff was good. It's always fun to see that.
I mean, Cray has game. A little bit of jank here. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast here so far, but one of the better players took it to GrotzCon here. He's one of the guys on Team Canada, and he took Cray with a Minuteman. And normally, like, I do that too. I'll take 2 Minutemen with Cray, and I'll walk up, I'll shoot something, fast cab over here, flak field. But what he would do with it is put full tilt on the Minuteman, not on the what is it called? Stormclad. And so all of a sudden you have this freaking Minuteman that is able to rush up, leap, fast cab, and is, flak fielding stuff that's way, way up. It's crazy.
Oh,
and yeah, like nobody sees this coming because you think you're safe, but I think it had like a threat of like 20 inches or something. And all of a sudden, boom, like gun mages are being blown up, or, you're losing Iris, and it's a big deal.
And if you set that up right, you could cast it on 1 Minuteman turn 1. Turn 2, do the thing, have one go up and do that, then activate Cray, cast that same spell on the other Minuteman, have it do the same thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have Chance Encounter here saying, thanks for mentioning Party Foul's channel in one of your recent videos. They definitely cleared up some rules I didn't know that well. Have you guys ever played team games of War Machine? If so, do you like them or hate them? You want the first stab at that one?
What?
Want to take the first stab at that one?
Yeah, I've actually not only played a lot of team games. In fact, when I was a new player, when me and my friends were new players, we would get together. The game store we got together at was so busy that all we could really get was one table. Mm-hmm. So we would be playing team games all the time. So we literally had a rotation because it was me and 3 other guys. And we literally just kind of took different partners every week when we got together and played. And it was always 2-on-2.
Okay.
And we did that a lot. And then years later, I've actually got to organize a team tournament. And the premise of the tournament was, hey, we need new terrain. We need to improve the tables and whatnot, the tables we're playing on. So we made an arrangement with the shop owner to, man, I can't talk today.
It's all right.
So we made an arrangement with the shop owner, and he was going to match us. So every dollar we brought in, he bring in $1. So we actually had 10 players. It was the buy-in was $10, $10 per player. So no, I think it was $5, but we ended up getting like $200 to spend on terrain and whatnot. That was pretty cool.
Nice
out of it. And that was a team tournament. So literally, guys got together, formed teams, and showed up as teams. And I had one of my armies there in case someone's teammate didn't show up. We had 2 people whose teammates didn't show up, so they became a team.
Yeah.
So it was a good turnout. So yeah, I've been done team stuff all the time. Just a couple of weeks ago, in fact, I played a team game.
So overall, like, do you enjoy them as much as regular games, more or less?
Yeah.
Or the same? You enjoy them about the same, or is one more you like better than the other?
Team games are fun especially in situations where there's not enough table space to go around.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you have a room or time for everyone to kind of spread out and play individual games, and sometimes there's situations where there's 4 of you, but there's 1 table left to use. So it's fun. And like I said, I've organized team tournaments myself. Played team games before. There are even leagues. Some of the official leagues have rules where you could do you could team up. In fact, some of the leagues we ran, some of the official leagues they had a few years ago, actually had rules where certain factions were allied with each other.
Okay,
and you could actually get with your ally and play a team game against another alliance.
Sounds like fun.
Also, back in the day, they had theater of war campaigns in Mark I, where you could literally, it was meant for an individual to play factions against each other, but you could kind of split the baby there and end up playing a bigger team game.
Sure. For myself, I've done some, not very many though. Most of them I did before when I was up in Fort Mac, and it was the same idea where there weren't many tables, or maybe we just want to have fun. But they were always lots of fun because you realize it's not something that's supposed to be like ultra competitive. You could do this and talk out your combinations, but usually these are just like, know what, guys, we're all here. We all want to get a game. Let's have some fun. The times when it didn't work out is when there was, say, like 3 experienced players and 1 new player, or if one player gets unlucky and dies quick, then all of a sudden, when you're that last player, it's like basically 2-on-1. It's like, but otherwise, normally, the way to fix that is instead of doing team games, we started just doing like free-for-alls. So we would just do like 4 people, everyone for themselves. I'll be in this corner, you that corner, blah, blah, blah. Put a circle zone in the center just so there's some reason to be moving up and go. And yeah, there were tons of fun, So do those.
Yeah, in fact, the team game I played the last time I played one, Nemo got taken out very early in the game because one of the guys on the other side had Raven and Mage Hunter Assassin, so he got feet set goad.
Yeah.
So my contribution to the game from there was just some Stormblades. You couldn't really do much without support.
Well, I mean,
the thing about team free for alls, you gotta be careful. Is that you'll get that one guy that tries to hang back and then pick off what's left.
Yeah. But I mean, that's why if you have that scenario in the center, then at least there's reason to move in there, right?
Right. And throw a kill box in there too, so someone can't hide.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea. So,
and then for the zone in the middle, just have a rule where if you dominate the zone and everyone else is taking damage.
Yeah, like the hardcore type thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that works. Next one here from Luke Walker says, I am going to my first major tournament next weekend. I will be running Bethane Tier 4, the list that loves infantry, if it's not Pressgangers, and a typical Pythagoras list. Do you think this will be a strong partnership, or would you suggest a different caster more suited to high-level tournaments? Also, do you have any tips on how to approach games and list choosing? Do you have any experience with Legion there, Tinman?
There was a period where I was constantly playing against the Legion. Now, in terms of giving him a list for high-level play, I'm the last guy you want to ask. Like I said, there was a period there where I played against Legion all the time, just because there was a guy I used to be in a lot of my battle reports. Fans of my show know who he is. A dude named Wesley. I played a number of games against him, and there were other Legion players in my meta as well. Because when the two player starter box came out, it was Legion and Circle, and people were splitting the two. But the people that grabbed the Circle stuff didn't stick around as much as the people that grabbed the Legion stuff.
Oh, really?
And,
okay.
So I did play against a lot of Legion, but in terms of me telling a Legion player, here's a list you want to take, I'm like the last guy to ask.
All right. Well, as far as like the pairing goes, I love Bethane. Her with her Eruption of Spines with a shred infantry under her feet. Of course, with a tier, I mean, you're going to be having the Hex Hunters in there. You can have those Hellions in there, and they'll just destroy stuff that's high infantry. Say if it's like, a Kador infantry, or if it's like a Krix infantry, that's fantastic. If you want something else, though, then all of a sudden you got your Pythags there if you're more sturdy armor guys, if you're trying to deal with something else. But it really depends on what your build is for Pythags. Do you have an answer in there if we want to get really competitive to saying, what's your answer to Bradigus? I don't like Bethane against Bradigus, and I don't like Pythags very well against Bradigus. So make sure you got stuff for that. And, I mean, it's really just your meta. Look around and see who's there. As far as making pairings and stuff in general, because that was the second part of his question, is how do you approach games and list choosing? How about you attack that one, Tin Man? Like, I know you're saying you're not really the more, competitive focus. That's what we're doing here, more for fun. But when you do make a pairing, how do you usually base off your pairings for tournaments?
Originally, there was... I'm hearing an echo. I'm hearing an echo. Okay, it's coming. All right, so pretty much originally there was one list against War Machine, one list against Hordes. Then things got a little more complicated, so it was one list to deal with infantry and one deal the list with bricks. Because you have some people that bring dude swarms against you, and some people who would bring bricks against you.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely saw combined arms where you're dealing with a lot of dudes and some might there. So a list to go against infantry is something designed to take out huge swaths of infantry quickly and efficiently. So if I was playing one of my Circle Orbros, the best guy for me to do that would be Kruger. Because Kruger's really good at taking out huge swaths of infantry with his feet, with his use of chain lightning. You would get the shifting stones up there to cast chain lightning against, then bounce it into the enemy forces, and then From there, it's just a matter of dice rolls. On top of that, with Kruger, you want like a Wood Warden or two to Geomancy, a Chain Lightning as well. Also, again, Chain Lightning that into Shifting Stones to bounce around. And it's a good tactic for taking out dude swarms, because usually when you got a dude swarm, it's high defense, low armor stuff that you're dealing with, especially from Crick. So if you can get that stuff, clear that stuff off the board, then and quickly and efficiently, so that you don't get death clocked in the process.
Yeah,
you want a list that can do that. Like a Signar player is definitely going to have that list. Want to have that list with Chain Lightning is on the table, where you've got Minutemen using their flak fields, and whatever you can to take that infantry out quickly. Never bricks. You want that stuff that could just crack armor.
Yeah.
So there's a tournament I went to a few years ago, about 3 years ago, where I had one list was designed to do that. I had Kruger to take out infantry, and taking out infantry is what he did. And then I had an Epic Kaya list that was made to crack armor.
Yeah, it makes sense.
This was during that period where it was before the Colossals, but after the battle engine. So cracking armor meant taking out the other guy's heavy jacks or battle engine. And battle engines proved to be a lot easier to take down than we initially thought when they were first introduced.
Well, that Sector Vault's not that easy to take down.
Yeah. Well, this was, like I said, this was like 3 years ago. This is when the battle engines you saw were mostly like the Vessel of Judgment, or the Vessel of Judgment. The Khador players weren't really playing their battle engine too much. The Storm Striders, with the Storm Striders, you just had to take them out all in one turn because they got a power token every time they get a hit. So it's like, well, make sure you take it out in one turn, or else
it'll zap you good.
So that's basically, it's just a matter of finding out who you're playing. If you're real serious, you're going to study who you're playing against, or you're just going to know who you're playing against and what you need to take to deal with them. In fact, there's a player in my meta that I still play with who's really good. So a friend of mine joked, he's like, well, I got a list to deal with just him, and then a list to deal with everyone else.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get that going on too.
Yeah, I'm
and
sure.
You gotta watch out for wild cards, because someone from another town and a whole other meta could show up and throw you all for a loop.
Or if you got the Jank guys like Jason Flans or whatever, right? They surprise you.
There was a tournament I organized back in about 3 years ago, and it was our 3rd year anniversary celebration of being, playing War Machine at the particular store for 3 years. And one of my friends just thought he had it in the bag. He was even talking about how he was going to have an essay contest, because the top prize was a battle engine. He's like, well, I don't need another battle engine, so I'm going to have an essay contest, and the winner of the essay is going to get the battle engine. Right? That's how locked down he thought it was. And then literally some players from the coast showed up. One guy playing Gators, another guy was playing Trollbloods. And this Trollblood player had a Trollblood list that people weren't expecting, because the Trollblood players in the area at the time were all kind of playing the same list. This guy had brought a completely different Trollblood game. He was also another press ganger. His name was Tyson Coach. Can't remember his forum name, but he's a really cool guy. And he showed up and just swept the tournament. Yeah. Wiping
people, you'll do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just wiping the smile off my friend's face who wanted to have the essay contest. And he was complaining, man, people coming from out of town took our prizes. I was like, well, you
deserve
I always advertise in surrounding communities and say, I'm doing this if you want to show up. So hey.
Yeah, for myself, I used to do stuff like there was like a War Machine list and a Hordes list. Then I'd have like one shooty list, and then one list like a counter shooting. But eventually what it developed into is that since I learned that I love playing the jam game and the scenario game, I typically now have one jam list that I'll design, and then depending what I expect to see, I'll design a shooting list, be it with, Siege or Kane 2 or Haley, whatever, to deal with whatever I feel I need to shoot down. So that's normally how I'll go at it now. Pretty simple. I love my jam list, so they're pretty set in stone. I just buggered up my what are they called here? Boom howlers. You probably see I've been spraying and gluing, but I decided to try and make a few of them look a little bit different, so swapping the arms and stuff. And now I just realized I have one guy with 2 guns and this guy with 2 axes. Mistakes were made. Next question, to move it on, from Error Zero. I bought the Legion Army box, and I love the miniatures. In building up to 50 points, would a Sacro Vault synergize with the Nephilim Bloodseer, or is that just super jank?
Well, first I would have to see what's in that box here.
In the Legion one?
Yeah.
I'm not remembering offhand either.
I don't remember what's there. So let me see here.
Well, the real question is around whether it synergizes with the Nephilim Bloodseer. I'm not seeing tons going on there. I mean, the thing is that Legion normally does fairly well against infantry. So I don't know if you really need it. I mean, I know Circle has been loving this Sacro Vault, but I haven't been seeing it much in Legion at all, just because Legion can do that game well enough, right? With all their Forsaken to blow them up, or you got your Striders and your Deathstalkers. Normally, they just don't have that same issue with the infantry, and they don't need that shooting ability either, right? Circle loves this shooting ability that the Sacro Vault brings, but Legion, of course, already has great shooting. So when you have the choice of either Sacro Vault or pay 1 more point for Ravagore, it's like, So personally, right now, maybe not seeing what the jank is, but right now it looks like that's maybe not the best thing. But hey, we're at the show here. If you want to prove me wrong, I would love for you to run those together and show me some super jank.
Yeah, I haven't seen a Sacro Vault yet. Like I said, I'm not playing like I used to. And my hometown, it's not a big meta, so in terms of me just seeing stuff out there, I would have to actually get in my car over the weekend and drive down to LA and play down there. And I kind of work on the weekends, so that kind of makes it a little difficult.
Makes it tough. So unfortunately, we didn't have a lot to say to you, Error Zero, but we love seeing more jank. So maybe you could post up more of the idea of what you're trying to do there. We could be giving a better idea on it. So we have 2 more questions. This one, right. That's it. Christopher Murphy says, I'm building a scoring list for a big tournament. I expect to see Bradigus and Crix, but my meta really doesn't have any Crix, so I feel super unprepared for both. I love playing Hexorus and Raseth. Any help you can give?
I'd say what I do if I know I'm going into a situation where there's going to be a faction I don't normally play against. YouTube is full of battle reports.
Mm-hmm.
And Advanced Deployment probably makes the best battle reports on YouTube, and they're always posting a new one every Friday. Quite the opposite of me, who hasn't posted I think I've gone a year now without posting a battle report. So,
yeah, what's going on there? Hey, you got to find some way to fit it in. I don't know.
Without a meta, it's kind of hard to be motivated to do that stuff. Plus everything with my history, in regards to my history with YouTube.
That's fair. As far as what you're trying to counter here, Bradigus, Raseth, Chain Gain would be a great one for that. They can come in and they can alpha out a couple of your elephants, but you're still going to have 4 more, and you can really beat them back. So that'd be great there. Hexorus is a great counter to Crix. Of course, Crix can be played so many different ways, but in general, Hexorus can deal with that. So I think you have the right pairing right there. If you expect to see cricks, but you don't normally play against them, again, check out their battle reports on YouTube. If you have one guy in your group that plays cricks, talk to him a lot, try and figure those things out. And sometimes you give me those things where people don't want to give away like their tricks of the trade, but do it both ways, right? Say like, oh, okay, what would you not like to see from Scorn fighting your cricks? Oh, okay. Now let's do it the other way. I'm going to tell you as a Scorn player what I hate seeing in your cricks, and help each other about how to get both better together. Any other thoughts of that one, Tin Man?
Not really. I'm just trying to find out what's in that one box there. I was like bringing up the Privateer Press.
I can't even remember who the caster is.
But we definitely need to find this out here. All-in-one army box. Let's see. We're going to go to Hordes here on the website. And
well, while you're looking that one up, I'll do the last question we have here. Second one from Christopher Murphy saying, what are your thoughts on takebacks? At a tournament, should your opponent even consider asking in the setting, what happens if they insist on it? Well,
they're
I
not
think
really supposed to. It just depends on the tournament itself and just what the meta is. Because sometimes you have a meta where everyone's new and they don't know what they're doing, so they don't understand a rule or something. So that's one thing. If it's like serious cutthroat competitive and everyone's a seasoned player, a lot of times when you make a mistake, you just gotta eat it. Just depending on the situation. It was like someone not understanding a rule. Like, hey, I didn't know that. I didn't understand the rule. Can I take that back? Then sometimes it's okay because you like I said, sometimes it's okay. You don't want to take advantage of someone just being new. You don't want to noob stomp per se.
Yeah.
A lot of times too is that if you do let someone take something back, then you gotta say, all right, if I let you take this back, then you gotta let me take something back. Yeah. There was a tournament where it kind of played out with me where someone insisted on taking something back, and I was like, all right, it's not like either of us are gonna win this thing anyway.
Yeah,
because it was like final round, top tables somewhere else, and I think I went into that game 2-2, and he went into that game 2-2, and it's like, we're not getting any prizes anyways. Who cares? I'll let you take it back, but you just gotta let me take something back later if I do something. If I mess up. Later in the game, it came down to placement of where I need to move something, and I was like, okay. Earlier in the game, I let you take something back, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do my mulligan now. He's like, okay. I end up winning the game.
Okay.
So it didn't sit well with the guy, but at the same time, I just said, hey, you let me take that back, so I'm taking something back. But I ended up working to my advantage. And yeah, so you gotta be careful because sometimes you can lose. You can lose a friend that way, or fail to make one. Yeah. Oh, anyways, the contents of the all-in-one box is, of course, we've got Saren is the caster. Okay. Got a Scythian Heavy War Beast there. A Nephilim Heavy War Beast. Looks like. The Nephilim Blood Seer. I don't know if that's a heavy, but our Neref Heavy. An Angelus.
Yeah.
We got a Strider unit, so 6 Striders there. A Strider Deathstalker solo and 2 blighted Nif Shepherd. So 2 Shepherds there. That's a good list. These all-in-one lists are really good.
The thing is, though, is I don't think normally you want to take a Sacravault with Saren. Now that I've actually seen the caster, there actually is a local guy that he hasn't played it yet that I've seen, but he does have the Sacravault with Saren, and I don't think it's the right thing to take. And the reason for that is that when Saren pops feet and says, ha, you can't attack my guys, guess what all their stuff is going to go after? Your Sacravault. So either you're going to have to play it far back so it can be safe for this, or it's going to need to just get its lickings. So, again, I don't understand what the interaction is between the Sacravaults and the Nephilim Bloodseer. I mean, I played Legion like 2 years ago, so I never played with the Bloodseer. But again, if you could write in and let us know more about how it's supposed to work, we'd love to talk about the jank on the show. Otherwise, going back to the thing with takebacks, I think that the biggest way that I always look at it is that I like to hold myself to a higher standard than my opponent. So for the most part, I never ask for takebacks. It really have to be something like sometimes maybe it's like the first turn, you forget to allocate focus or something silly like that. That's not really super, super critical. And it's like, oh, come on, man. It's just like the first turn, the first game. But for the most part, if I make a mistake, the way that I force myself to learn is I'll say like, no, like people offer me, like, take it back, go ahead, do it. And I'll be like, no, I did this. I'm going to live by it now. And that's how I hold it to myself. To my opponents, I leave it up to them for the most part. If they make a mistake, like, oh no, I forgot to allocate focus or something, I'll be quiet. And if they ask for it, a lot of times I'll just say, yeah, sure, no problem. But, again, if they don't do it, then okay, that's great. Let's move on like this. As far as a part to insisting a take back, that really depends on the situation. If it's a lower, issue game where it's like, okay, sure, whatever, take your take back. I don't really care. We're on the bottom tables or something. But I mean, if we're talking like top tables and this is serious, and you almost have like that understanding with the other player, right? Like, okay, I know you're a serious player. I'm a serious player. Let's do this. There'll be no take backs. And the thing is, like, if you call in a judge, there can't be like, hey, I asked for a take back. He wouldn't let me. No, you don't just get take backs. So
certainly, and that got me thinking of something from the Mark 1 days when I was a new player. I was playing in a tournament against a guy who was a bit of what we call a rules lawyer, and so you never give a rules lawyer a break at all because no one likes rules lawyers. Anyhow, he was playing against me with Scorn, and he does some stuff with his caster. Then he switches to his beast and he charges in and he's like, wow, I didn't do the damage that I was supposed to do. Oh, wait, I want to take back all these different moves and go back to my caster so I could cast these spells I forgot to cast. And I was like, no, man, when you switch from that caster to this beast to charge in, you ended that other guy's activation. We can't go back to this. This is a tournament. This is not this isn't a pickup game here. And that's a lot of moves to be trying to take back and a lot of damage that we got to try to erase. And there's damage from previous turns. And, that's just too much.
Absolutely.
He got all upset and rage quit.
Oh, jeez.
And he conceded the game. He's like, and he gave me all the points and stuff. But later we were playing again in like a league game. And he tried to do it on me. Like, oh, well, I should do this because you did this to me. And I said, that's not what happened here. Because I go to start to activate one model, go, wait, I don't want to activate him yet. And I go back to another and he goes, well, I should say that you ended that guy's activation. And I said, that's not what happened. Yes, it was. So it's like, no, you activated a model, you cast spells and did stuff, and then you activated another model and charged it in and made a bunch of attacks. And then said, oh, wait, I cast the wrong spell on the wrong model. I want to take that back. That's what you did.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, that's a big part to remember it, too, is that if you really push this, you have to keep in mind that people will hold those grudges. And if nothing more than just having like a peaceful and enjoyable play experience at the next event, you got to be ready that if you are the type of person that's going to say no take backs, straight rule lawyers or whatever, you can piss off people. And, no matter which way you are, whether on the side of being right or wrong, is it worth, like you were saying before, breaking those friendships for later on? But otherwise, that's all the questions. Nothing else has been posted up from the viewers we have right now. Was there anything else you want to talk about there, Tinman?
Nothing I can think of. We just went past 8 o'clock here, so
yeah. Usually we do that about an hour, so we're at that hour now. Did you want to do that recommendation of a YouTube channel again?
Well, pretty much my recommend for the week is go see Avengers 2 if you haven't seen it yet. That's my recommend for the week.
I say that's a good one. Mine would be my Signar buddy here. Tom, he has a channel he just started. It's called Luck God 84. And he's actually doing this whole thing for May, where it's like Morrow and May. And with this, he wanted to play as much Constance and Morrow as possible. And he's going to try and paint them. He's also just now started doing battle reports. His first one's up. And, you know, it's decent. So you go check it out, get some Constance Blaze goodness.
All right.
So otherwise,
I'm
that's
actually going there right now. As you said, Luck God 81, you said?
Luck God 84.
Luck God 84. Let's see here. Luck God.
First one is Blaze versus P. Krios.
Oh, yeah, let's see it. Blaze versus P. Krios there. 9-minute video. Is it pictures?
It is pictures, yeah. So it's good and fast. So check her out.
The only video I see on the channel is the Blaze versus Krios.
Yeah, this is his first one. Like, he just started his channel.
All right.
So yeah.
And the recommended channel is a bunch of stuff with the word Tom in the title here.
Oh yeah,
So,
I bet.
Talking Tom and something in Friends. Looks like Talking Tom's an animated cat. Let's find out.
Sure. Otherwise, want to try and keep it to the hour.
Yep, animated cat.
So
all
guys,
right.
thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week. But until then, if you have any paintings or rather pictures you want to submit of stuff you were painting or just pictures that you guys are having fun with, send them to me at malorian99@hotmail.com. And otherwise, we'll catch you next time. So see ya.
All right. Catch you later.
The park is growing.